Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to Smiley Kids channel. Today we are going to discuss Grade 8 Science Chapter 2 Microorganisms Friend and Foe. We are going to cover the full chapter. This is the session plan for today. We are going to discuss what are microorganisms, where do microorganisms live, classification of microorganisms, friendly microorganisms, harmful microorganisms, food preservation, nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle. So let's get started. In our planet, we have several living organisms such as plants, animals and human beings. Apart from plants, animals and human beings, we also have organisms that we cannot see with our naked eyes. Those organisms that we cannot see with our naked eyes are called microorganisms. Microorganisms are also called as microbes. Microorganisms can only be seen with the help of a microscope. So, the definition of microorganisms is the organisms that we cannot see with our naked eyes are called microorganisms. We have completed the first topic. Now let's move ahead to the second topic. Where do microorganisms live? Where do microorganisms live? Guess what? It is everywhere. Microorganisms are everywhere around you. They are in plants, soil, air, water, and guess what? They are also in your human body. So, microorganisms are everywhere around us. We have also completed the second topic. Now let's move to the third topic, classification of microorganisms. Different groups of microorganisms are bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoa, algae. Let us see about each one in detail. Bacteria. These microorganisms are unicellular, means it has only a single cell. Bacteria may live in colonies. What do you mean by colonies? It means that they live in groups. They do not live freely. Bacteria exist in different shapes, such as spiral bacteria and rod-shaped bacteria. Virus. Viruses lie on the borderline of living and non-living. Let's say this is living and this is non-living. We are living beings, so let's draw. And this is virus. So, virus will act as non-living until it enters any body. If virus comes and enters any body, it seems to be living. So, viruses lie on the borderline of living and non-living. Viruses are mostly harmful and viruses are multicellular. That means they have many cells. Viruses are harmful and can cause serious diseases. So, these viruses only reproduce inside the cells of the host organisms. Fungi. You might have observed that during the rainy season, moist bread gets spoiled and its surface gets covered with grayish-white patches. Why is it so? It is due to fungi. It looks in this way. Bread mold. It looks green in color. But do you know what? It does not have chlorophyll. Fungi is saprophytic or parasitic, and fungi is multicellular, means it has many cells. And fungi may live in colonies. Colonies means in groups. Protozoa. Protozoa are heterotrophic. That means it cannot prepare its own food. Protozoa are unicellular, means single-celled. Single-celled. And most of the protozoa are aquatic. Examples of protozoa are amoeba, which is single-celled. Algae. Algae is either unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular means it has only one cell. Multicellular means it has many cells. So, algae is either unicellular or multicellular. And algae may live in colonies. Colonies means they live in groups. And algae is aquatic. One of the example of algae is Spirogyra. Now let's see two examples of each group of microorganisms. Bacteria. Lactobacillus. Spiral bacteria. Fungi. Bread mold. Yeasts. Protozoa. Amoeba. Paramecium. Virus. Coronavirus. Ebola virus. Algae. Spirogyra. Chlamydomonas. We have also completed the third concept, that is classification of microorganisms. Now let's move to the fourth concept, friendly microorganisms. Microorganisms. Microorganisms can either be helpful or harmful. Now let's discuss about helpful microorganisms, that is friendly microorganisms. Helpful microorganisms can be used in commercial purpose, medical use, and it also helps us to increase the soil fertility and in cleaning the environment. Let us see each one in detail. Commercial purpose. It helps in the production of curd, cheese, idli and dosa batter, alcohol, and bread. Medical purpose. In the production of antibiotics and vaccine. Increasing soil fertility. In agriculture, microorganisms are used to increase soil fertility by fixing nitrogen, and it also helps in the breakdown of complex minerals to simpler forms. Cleaning the environment. You often see large amounts of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. You find that they disappear after some time. Why is it so? It is due to microorganisms. Microorganisms decompose dead organic waste of plants and animals, converting them into simpler substances. We have also completed the fourth concept. Now let's move to the fifth concept, harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are harmful in different ways. Some of the microorganisms cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. Such disease-causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Some microorganisms spoil food, clothing, and leather. You might have observed that if you bring any vegetable and keep it for a few days, after few days, if you come and see the same vegetable, it gets spoiled. Why is it so? It is due to microorganisms. They are harmful. Let us study more about them. There are two types of diseases, communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. Let's learn about them in detail. Communicable diseases. The diseases which spread from an infected person to a healthy person are called communicable diseases. This can happen through air, water, food, or physical contact. So these diseases are called communicable diseases. Some examples of communicable diseases are common cold, cholera, TB, chickenpox, etc. Then, how do you prevent the spread of communicable diseases? We should keep a handkerchief on the nose and mouth while sneezing. It is better to keep a distance from infected persons. Non-communicable diseases. The diseases which do not spread from one person to another are called non-communicable diseases. For example, heart attack, cancer, etc. We have also completed the fifth concept. Now let's move to the sixth concept, food preservation. Food preservation. Before talking about food preservation, I would like to give you a short introduction to food poisoning. How does food poisoning takes place? It happens when you eat spoiled food. In order to prevent it from getting spoiled, we preserve food. This brings us to the topic of food preservation. There are 6 main methods to preserve food. Chemical method, preservation by common salt, preservation by sugar, preservation by oil and vinegar, heat and cold treatments, and storage and packing. Let's see about them in detail. Chemical method. Salts and oils are the common chemicals generally used to check the growth of microorganisms. Therefore, they are called preservatives. We add salt or acid preservatives to pickles to prevent the attack of microbes. These are also used in jams and squashes to check their spoilage. Preservation by common salt. Common salt has been used to preserve meat, and fish. Meat and fish are covered with dry salt to check the growth of bacteria. Salting is also used to preserve amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. Preservation by sugar. Jams, jellies and squashes are preserved by sugar. Sugar reduces the moisture content which inhibits the growth of bacteria which spoil food. Preservation by oil and vinegar. Use of oil and vinegar prevents spoilage of pickles because bacteria cannot live in such an environment. Vegetables, fruits, fish and meat are often preserved by this method. Heat and cold treatments. You might have observed your mother boiling milk before it is stored or used. Boiling kills many microorganisms. Similarly, we keep our food in the refrigerator. Low temperature inhibits the growth of microbes. Pasteurized milk can be consumed without boiling as it is free from harmful microbes. The milk is heated to about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilled and stored. By doing so, it prevents the growth of microbes. This process is called pasteurization. Storage and packing. These days, dry fruits and even vegetables are sold in sealed airtight packets to prevent the attack of microbes. We have also completed the sixth concept. Now let's move to the seventh concept, nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation. You have already learned that rhizobium is involved in the fixation of nitrogen in leguminous plants. Rhizobium lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants such as beans and peas, with which it has a symbiotic relationship. Sometimes nitrogen gets fixed through the action of lightning. But you know that the amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains constant. You may wonder how and why. This brings us to the next concept. Moving ahead to the next concept, nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is present in the air as well as in the soil. Plants uptake nitrogen. So nitrogen is now reduced in the atmosphere. Then what do animals do? Animals eat plants in order to get nutrients. So when animals eat plants and they excrete or they die, they produce nitrogenous waste. Now bacteria comes and takes action on this nitrogenous waste. What does it do? Bacteria turn compounds of nitrogen into gaseous nitrogen. That means whatever the nitrogen is produced over here, nitrogenous waste, this bacteria turns this nitrogenous waste into gaseous nitrogen. Now take a look at this part. Bacteria turn compounds of nitrogen into gaseous nitrogen. Bacteria in turn fix nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds. This means that the nitrogen which has been uptaken by plants, when the nitrogen is uptaken by plants, the nitrogen got reduced in the air. Clear? Then what did bacteria do? It has converted this nitrogenous waste into gaseous nitrogen. So again in the air it has become constant. So the nitrogen level here has become again into its normal level or the constant level. This cycle is known as nitrogenous cycle. We have covered all the topics in this chapter. Thank you. Hope you like this video. If you find this helpful, do like, share, comment, and for all the more updates on all the learning needs, subscribe our channel Smiley Kids.